Hello Natroners and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. So today we're going to be looking at making neon or something neon-esque. We're going to make, we're going to make something along the lines of maybe this or this. In fact, yeah. So we're starting off... Excuse me. Oh, I had a wee bit of a cough. We're starting off, of course, we need a background to use for our thing, and so I decided I like this one right here. I've already downloaded it, but I wanted to point out this is available for free on pixels.com. Just search for brick wall and you'll find this particular image, and this is what I used. At least I'm 99% sure that's what I used. Anyhow, I downloaded all of these and decided to like that one. So let's close that and get over into Natron, and let's pull in our image. And so we're gonna go. I have it open over here already, so I'm gonna copy that and paste it. Okay, there it is. Yep, there we go. So here it is, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to. What I did is I reformatted it. I added a, whoops, we don't want that to be 3. Apparently Natron lost track of my settings. It crashed slightly before this, and also Facebook lost track of my stream key for some reason. Anyhow, don't want to bore you all with details. I'm just gonna copy in the bits because this is just a reformat node. It's set to 1080, not 220 by 1080. Which makes it look like that, which crops off the bottom, as we can see. And then it's, of course, it's too bright, so we want to take and grade it a little bit. What I'll put on for grade, you know what? Why don't I just put a grade node in here? We'll hit a grade. We're gonna take it down, take the gain down, I think, to 0.1. So we'll just put the gain at 0.1 like so. That makes it nice and dark. Then we're gonna put over this. We're gonna multiply this, and we're gonna put a radial in here. Actually, we'll do a radial on tab radial. There we go, radial. I'm gonna put that into the A input. We're gonna tell it that it's nice and big. You can see it's the image is HD. What I set for the settings for the radial were what was it? There we go. It was, I set it so that it was. That's odd. I didn't think I made it that big, but well, I made it bigger than I remembered making it. All right, it's going to be 3020. It looks like 3020. Whoops, not 320, 3020. And then we made the height. I kept the height 1280. All right, and then I clicked center, which made it look like this, which is off. It's not doing the right thing here. Something is wrong. Obviously, our project settings. Here's the problem. It's saying it's 1920 by 1280. It's not supposed to be 1920 by 1280. It's supposed to be 1920 by 1080 for output resolution, which should set it. Now let's see if we reset this. There we go. That sets it correct. Then we set the output. That only happened because we imported this image that is actually set to that size, and so it reset the Natron settings from the default 1920 by 1080 that we typically use. Alright, so we're going to just set this to multiply, and obviously that's too much. One of the other things we need to do is I did reduce the softness of the edge down to 0.825 for the circle, so it's a little bit wider on the edge and yet soft. I just wanted it to be lightly dark around the edges. Let's make sure that's centered. It looks a little off to me. Oh well. Not going to worry too much. And then I set the thing to 0.625 to get it it makes it just a little bit. If we look before and after, that just makes it so that it has a little bit of a vignette around the edge of the bricks, so that it sort of highlights. It'll highlight our text when we add it in. So this is what we're going to be putting our text on top of. So of course now we need is of course a text node with some text in it, and we all know, well, we usually know what we're going to do, but we're going to put a text node, and we're going to just set the text to well, we'll just do neon natron. Neon natron. Alright, and let's see. How big do we want to make that? We want to make it a nice 180. We'll set the font size down here to 180. Because I know the font is, this whole font window is much bigger than it. My face covers up a wee bit of it. Anyhow, let's look over here. That's what it's got. We want to obviously center interact. And alright. So the goal behind this is to take any font that we put into this thing. It doesn't matter what we start with. In this case, we have Arial. Again, a bit of a thing. I actually used this one on mine called, I think it was called Candria, or Candara, which is this. That is what I started with. I want to make sure I didn't do anything else, just to make sure. I did set the letter spacing to 7 so that there's room around it, because you obviously, what we're going to do is build away from the center point of this and turn it into the neon look. So we need to give it room for that neon glow or the neon tubes to build. So I set this to 7. Whoops, to 7, like so. It's not very much, but that gives a lot of the finer fonts a bit more room to work with. All right. So then we're going to do put a period below that, and that is going to be a breakout. Now, we also need to, at this point, the reason we're breaking it out is that we're also going to be putting in a solid here. The solid is going to be our color for our thing. But you know what? I think we should, instead of worrying about the solid, we're going to work about coloring it. That's something we'll deal with after we make the actual tube effect. So the tube effect, to make it tubes, we're going to use a couple of road smooths, and we're going to actually create first thing we're going to do is create a master control, because what I want to do is make something that I can control that is going to be a thing I'm going to call tube width, because I want this to work like this. We're going to treat this like it's going to be a plugin, because ultimately that is kind of where the goal of this is to turn this into something like a plugin. So we're going to actually first add an add node of all things. So we're going to do add color, like so, all right? And we're going to change the name of this to, I think I called it tube width. Yes, I did. Tube width. All right? And we're going to just, it doesn't matter. You can use anything that does some form of value. This could be multiply, this could be add, because all we're doing is using this as an ambiguous control that we're going to be controlling some expressions to do in some things. All right. So the first thing we're going to be controlling is a road smooth. So let's do a road smooth, which all comes up right quick. And for the road smooth, let me make sure I've got my expression pulled up. It should be. We're going to set this to two nodes for the time being, so that we can see both these together. And we're going to change the size. All right, we're going to set it so that these. Oh yes, first things first. Let's reduce the. Let's see what this is going to do. All right, so our goal is we're going to be expanding this away, and as we know, a road smooth, when we move it in a positive direction, that shrinks it in to make. Technically, we're doing the opposite, which is dilation, which means we have to use a negative because this is a road node. So we're going to be eroding this in a negative direction, and as we can see, oh yes, and we need to tell it that we want to affect the alpha. obviously, otherwise we don't see it. And as we can see, as we make this bigger and smaller, it makes it bigger and smaller. Let me just double check. I want to make sure we're using it. Yes, we want to use, we're going to stick to quadratic. Now, as people might remember in the past, one of the problems with quadratic is it starts to make the O's and the A's and things look a little bit too sharp around the edge, and that actually has more to do with the exponent, which is good because that's all we really need to worry about. We're going to drop the exponent down to 1, all right, which, as we can see, smooths it out. It gives it this rounded, sort of bubbly look, all right? So that's the first thing, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a grade. What did I do with the grade node? I did something. I'll have a grade node here. Actually, I think this grade node... Did I remove the grade node? I realize I have a node here. I think... Oh! The grade node only has one purpose. And it really is a stupid purpose now that I'm looking at it. We could do it a different way. Alright, we're gonna... I should do it just because I'm worried that if I use... what I'm doing is I'm multiplying, but I wanted the ability to potentially modify this. Originally, I thought I was going to do more with the grade node. But I didn't end up using the grade node. We can try an unpremult. So... No, I'm just gonna use a grade, just because I just don't trust, as I recall, let me just see. No. Wait a minute. I'm just looking, because this is looking weird to me. This is looking weird. We're gonna be linking this erode smooth up, but we have a second erode smooth we're gonna be using with it. I honestly don't know why I still have this in here. I think I removed it. It could probably be replaced with a period, but we're going to keep it in here because my original source has it, and I don't want to break something during the live stream. So we might try replacing this at a later date. I apologize. I should have cleaned that up. I thought I'd cleaned up all the erroneous nodes. All right, so we're going to put another road smooth in here. Over here, and what these two erode smooths are going to be doing is they're actually going to be forming the tube, all right, and the way that the neon tubes, and they're going to be growing and shrinking relative to one another, and I want them to be based off of a percentage of one another, all right. So what this one's going to do, let's see if we can find this. Let me pull this up. This one's going to be the inner bit of it. We're going to keep it at, this one I'll keep at an exponent of 5, which puzzles me a little bit, but we shall see. I'm sure I had logic behind this that's escaping me at the moment. We want to make sure this affects the alpha channel. And what we're going to do over here is we're going to take this, we're going to merge it. Okay, this one's going to come down and merge, and we're going to take the result of that, like so, all right? And we're going to just pull this up so that it's a little bit more like this, and we're basically going to subtract this one from this one. And I think the reason I did this was because it's already smooth. All right, yes, I think that's why I did it this way. I want the... So we want to, let me make sure this is, I'm not covering this up too much. We want to basically, you don't have to worry about the stuff down here behind my face at this point. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be subtracting the second erode smooth from the first one. So we're going to set this to the merge node to from, all right, which currently obviously eliminates it because this erode smooth has nothing to it, but we're going to expand it beyond what the original one was. All right, so this one is currently set to -11. We're going to be taking this one up a percentage of the other one, all right, and when we do that, we can see that as we bring it up, we get this kind of tube effect, all right. And what the reason that's happening is that this is the This is the bigger tube, and it's it's eroding out, right, from the original, which is this. It's eroding away from this, but because it's softened already, it's eroding the entire thing to make it bigger, like so. So we can see it's the same thing, but bigger, because we're actually dilating it. It's not eroding. It's when we do a negative, it's a dilate. So we're dilating it out, and when we dilate it out, and then subtract the original one from it, we get this tube-like shape. All right. And that is the vast majority of how we're going to be making this. But we're going to do a little bit more. We're going to do, we're going to make it so that it's all controlled by a single control over here with this value. And B, we're going to, after we're done with this, we're going to do some things to it well, you'll see in a few minutes. So yeah, we won't keep that in there. So, all right, let's pull this up and start creating the bits. What I want to ultimately do, the big problem that we face is that if this is too small a number, that it will, we won't get an actual erode from it. So if this is, I believe, below like 2 or so, yeah, see, at -1, we don't get anything. So it's going to only affect from basically -2 and beyond. And we also want this tube width. What the tube width is going to be doing is it's actually going to be determining how thick these actual tubes are. I want them to be, I want to say that I want one to be a derivative of the other. In other words, we obviously can't make them smaller than whatever our font size is. But we, so it has to be, there's going to be a percentage. And I think the smallest we can actually make this is 3. And once you get up past like 12, I think it is, or not 12, 20, it basically disappears in the opposite direction. So there is a limited size to these tubes. But we're going to see this momentarily. All right, so what is the first one? Let me pull up the thing and make sure I've got the first one up, and we're gonna go. I'm gonna pull up the expression, and I'm going to say over here, what we're gonna do is, so here's our control. We're gonna right-click on our erode smooth size right here, and we're gonna set an expression on all dimensions, and we're gonna pull this over, and we're just gonna take the tube width. And we're going to control drag. I'm holding down control and I'm dragging this. I know that my keyboard the thing that reflects it does not show that. And so this is what we wind up with. And all we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to multiply that times -1. That's it. Very simple. All right. So our tube width, by doing that, that makes it times -1, which gives us a size of 0, and we wind up with something that doesn't work. And let me get, I'm going to set this to the base size. I think I set it to, we're going to set this to, right, we want this, the reason we're doing that is so that when we operate this, we're working with positives. Because I don't like working with negative numbers, but this is automatically going to invert this. So as you can see, as we increase this in a positive direction, we wind up with a negative number over here in our actual tube. So we're working with a positive. That works for that makes it easier to work with. All right. So the one, I'm just letting you know, we're mimicking that orangey colored one first. That's the one we're going to start with. And that had a width of 14. So we're going to make this 14. All right. So what's our second one going to be? Well, our second one is going to be I believe it was an inversion. Hey, hold on. It's going to be, all right. So what this one's going to be is, right, it is going to be the original erode smooth. All right. So we take this one. So we're going to take, this is the second erode smooth, which is down here. We're going to take our first erode smooth. We're going to set an expression here. We're going to take the first one, and we're going to control drag that into here. So we get the dimension. and we're going to say, we're going to multiply it times 0.5. All right. So that should give us a -7. All right. And there we go. We can see it gives us a -7, and so that's our tube width. All right. So now let's just look at what this does. Now when we increase and decrease the size of this down, this should automatically resize and get smaller as it gets smaller, like so, and bigger as we get bigger, until we get to about 20. It should it's going to disappear later, because we can see that it's the tubes would be running into one another. You can increase your spacing and whatnot. Anyhow, I just wanted to bring that up. So we're going to set it to 14. That's what I said it was. All right. So there's that. That sets up our initial, those two elements. Now, the problem is these don't look like tubes. They kind of look like they're tube-ish, but they're very big, they're very bulky, they're very round. So, and also we're doing a from, which is a math. We're doing a math equation, and the big problem I always have with math is that if for some reason something pushes it above or below what we're expecting, in other words, if this went below black, we would wind up pushing things too far down into the dark area, and it will alter colors. And if we push things too far in the light direction, it'll push it beyond white or beyond whatever color. Now we're going to use that. We are going to take advantage of that later, but for now, for this point, we don't want to do that. We want to control this. So we're going to clamp this. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run run this through an equalized node. And the equalized node is going to basically, it's going to brighten, here, watch what happens. It's going to brighten everything up, or the overall thing. So EQU, equalize. There we go. We can see that that brought it up around the edges. It just made the overall thing a bit brighter. And then, hold on. I actually am beginning to debate if I actually needed to do... Well, we're going to keep going with this. Again, I'm trying to mimic what I had. Alright, so we want to now take this. Oh, yes. Well, there's a reason we have this. So this is going to also be used for our alpha channel, and we need a clean alpha channel. So what we're going to do is take this. I'm a little concerned. We may not need something. We may be able to eliminate more out of this than I originally thought. I was so focused on the other areas of this that I didn't look back at our original part. But let's just take a look. Shuffle. All right, I put a shuffle node in here, and what this shuffle node is to do is so that we can get this. Currently, if we go over to the alpha, all right, that's weird. Hold on. Well, I had some problems. Obviously, when I was doing this, I did a lot of stuff before that I eliminated. I don't know that we need the shuffle node either. Oh, I'm just finding all these things. What this originally did is I took the B, because I was doing more back in the beginning when I was messing around with this, trying to get it. We're going to keep it. I'm going to tell you, this is probably going to be one of the sloppiest pieces of garbage I've ever made. Oh, yeah. Now, I disagree. It'll look good when we're done. That's all that really matters. And if we can eliminate this stuff later, we will. I'll make sure of it, and I'll make sure we get this. All right. So now we're starting to get to the point where we actually want to merge in our extra bits. So what we want here, we're gonna take the tube width. We're gonna be using the tube width, and but all right, we're gonna start merging in. Let me just get the multiply first. What was this multiply for? This is a merge multiply, right? So we need our solid at this point. So our solid's going to define our color. All right. So tab, solid. We're going to put a solid in here. We're going to fade it. I zoomed in accidentally a little bit there. There we go. So we can see that this is our solid. This is going to be our base color. We want to pick a color. I actually saved this ahead of time. This is the yellow-orange. I found keeping the saturation around 153 puts it right about the midpoint, which is good. Neon, one of the things about neon, you really want to do to get most of your colors is to basically adjust the hue value of this. So if we took the hue and we just zip this up and down, this would change our base color or core color for whatever color we want to make this. Believe it or not, this would produce a red neon, and this produces sort of a yellowy orange neon. And I actually think you get the best neon patterns or the best color variations when you actually get somewhere between two primary colors. So it's sort of like a yellow orangey color or a limey green, a limey yellow color. So it's not pure green, not pure yellow. You get into the limes and you get like green darks and then a yellowy highlight. It's really pretty. And same with all the other colors. Anyway, so we're going to go with that for our solid. And then what we're going to do is put a saturation node in here. And we're going to hit. And so this is going to be one of our second main controls. SAT, saturation. There we go. All right. So the saturation control is going to be controlling. This is going to control how bright our neon's going to be. And we're going to be basically taking this and we're going to be multiplying it against this image down here, which, all right, we're going to, I believe this down here is to compensate for the gamma that we're going to be putting in a minute. We're going to be doing a gamma adjustment on it. Hopefully it will make more sense to me in a bit. I made this several days ago and I was quite tired. It was a long day. Never do VFX when you're really tired. Oi. All right, so we're going to take pipe this in here, pipe that in there. Let's look at this, and we want to multiply this over that. So we're going to multiply those two together, and we wind up with Jack Diddley. Why did we wind up with Jack Diddley? Probably because I'm betting that we need to give you'll notice that the solid doesn't have an alpha channel. We click on that. That should work. And of course we have no saturation. Or we do have one saturation, but I think I set the saturation to 2. Let's just take a look at that. Let me make sure it's looking correct over here. No, it's just not. We're getting a very different result. So the question now, in my mind, is why am I getting a different result there? Alright, something is... We've got a problem, Houston. This should be giving us a different result than we're getting. Oh, Natron. Natron. What in the world did you do to this? Alright, let's take a look over here and... Aha! We're not getting... Wait a minute. Something went wrong. We're not actually getting a solid color over here. Oh, because we're not looking... That would be why we weren't seeing it correctly. We was looking at the alpha channel. Alright, let's fit that. So there we go. There's our color. It is... Alright, so then we go down to the saturation, which pushes it up to there. This goes over to there. There we go. That's looking more like what I expected. Although it is looking a little different on my two monitors. Not going to argue, but there we go. Alright, so there's our first bit. That's going to be our first bit of our neon color. Alright, so next thing we need is we need to take this same image. We're going to be merging it again with the... We're going to take it, we're going to pipe it in as the B input. So this is going to be the source. Alright, and we're going to set this to the saturation, and then we're going to put this, instead of over, we're going to set this merge node to be soft light. Alright, And this is going to generate, let me make sure I'm getting the right colors. Yes, I am. All right, this is going to create the vast majority of our actual color. Now, you're still saying, this isn't looking neon-y yet, because we haven't done a couple extra things. The magic's about to happen in a minute. What we're going to do, the reason that this is here, this is going to be recoloring the highlights, because the problem we're going to have with this soft light is that when we, in the next phase, when we put this through the gamma node, if we didn't, well, you know, I think it's just better to put our gamma node in there right now so that we can see it wrong first. And all right, or see the problem. So we're going to go down here, hit a gamma, and we get our gamma here, put our gamma node in here. And the gamma node, what we're going to be doing is sort of changing how the fall off of this is. Gamma, that's what gamma is really good at doing. And I set the gamma to, oh yes, the gamma was also fed off of is fed with an expression. All right, so this actually was the trickiest expression. And so we're gonna, I'll try and explain what the gamma does. So I want the gamma to be based off of, the problem I ran into when I came up with this is that I wanted the gamma to affect one side of one of the sides more than it did the other, because of how it erodes and whatnot. And anyway, we're gonna. My brain is doing weird thoughts, having weird thoughts at the moment. We're gonna put this up here. We're gonna keep going with this. I'm a little worried that I've made this more complicated than it needs to be, but we're gonna just go with it. We're gonna take this. All right. So what I'm gonna do is take this. We're gonna feed this in here into, again, this is our gamma. All right, over here. We're feeding in the second erode smooth, which is the 0.7 or the -7, excuse me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, we're going to make a variable. We're going to call this W, because this is the width of our tube. All right. So this is a width, and instead of getting the dimension, because I don't want to do this based off of dimension. Dimension is you know, X and Y. We're not going to be doing the dimension. I just want the dimension 0 because I only want the first dimension. Otherwise, this is going to get weird. So then we're going to hit return. We're going to hit multi-line. And we're going to do ret for return. What we're going to return is we're going to do 1 point or negative 1.6. All right, divided by W. And the reason for this is that when I came up with the original tube look, I was basing it around a tube width of 8, and we're doing a tube width of 14, so it's not going to show up. Actually, we'll switch it down. You know what? It's going to be just easier. We're going to say W, and that should, yes, that comes up with the correct width. And we can see that as soon as we do this, it changes everything. It all of a sudden got all dark and gloomy looking over here. All right, and the reason it's gloomy looking is because we most of what drives this is going to be this saturation over here, and we also haven't finished the rest of the graph, and we also need to, well, let's first go back here for a second and drop our tube width down to 8, because when we drop it down to 8, it brings it to where I originally was building the neon look off of. All right, and so this neon look, part of what we're seeing here, as you can see, when we apply this gamma now with this stuff, if we remove this equalizing clamp, I have a feeling this is all going to blow up in our face. Yeah, it doesn't look as good. See how much nicer and more neon-esque it looks on the edges by applying that. That was one of the things that it was supposed to do. I believe that also is what I put in there. I believe I put this in here mainly because it also created this nice edge. It's been, I'm sorry, I did this late at night and wasn't focused on Yeah, we still get a bit of it, but it makes it just cleans up the edges a wee bit more on everything. It makes it look more tube-like. All right, so that's what these are going to be doing. So these aren't there for no reason. They do that. All right. So right. So what is the next bit? So the problem we run into, all right, we've got something here that's neon. Now it doesn't look as neon as it could look because when I was originally doing this, I was using much brighter colors. So let's bring this up to a brighter, sort of orangey yellow like that, and I'm hoping. Oh, go on, Natron, make me a liar. Fibber. I'm a horrible person. Alright. We're going to put it back. Because, wait a minute, that didn't go back. Why didn't that? There we go. We're going to put it back to there. Alright, it didn't affect it. The reason I think it's not affecting it is because we're so high on the saturation. If we pull this down, I think this actually maybe... Let's try yellow one more time. No. No. Alright, we're going to go back. Sorry. I'm playing as we're going. To try and things. So, as you can see, alright, so... Yes. The whole point of the saturation, as we can see, this is going to be the brightness of our neon. Which is useful. Alright? So, this controls the brightness of our actual neon tubes. It's going to make more sense, a little bit more sense in a few minutes when we get all the extra bits in here. One of the problems we run into, it's hard to say with this particular one because it's not doing, I don't think we're getting the one aspect of this that I wanted to show off, which is, all right, the goal behind this width is that as we make it wider, I wanted the power. I wanted to think of this as the wider we get the tubing, all right, versus the less voltage that goes through, and the less voltage that goes through, the dimmer the light gets. All right, that's my mental. I'll think of it from the standpoint of real life. So the saturation can be thought of as kind of our light source, the voltage that's powering this. All right, so in order to make it brighter, we have to actually up our voltage, and we'd actually you want to up it in point values, obviously. And the thinner we make this tube, all right, if we bring it down to a very small number, like 4, we can see that now that it's looking really, really bright. And if we want to get a similar intensity, we want to bring this back down a lot more. So we bring it down and the saturation down a bit. Now you can see that when we get down to a certain point in the whole overall thing, we're beginning to turn white. And this was, I believe, why I started adding in these extra things, because this actually looks very neon if we do a couple more things to it. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a multiply node. I mentioned that we want to multiply. We're going to take this, and we're actually going to multiply this second one over the original. So that's the original, and then we want to take our soft light and multiply it over it. All right, and we want to multiply, correct? Multiply, yes, multiply the two together, which results in this looking a lot darker. Let me make sure I'm verifying that. No, this is looking way darker. Why is this looking darker? Because we didn't clamp it. All right, so right, this is supposed to have a clamp in here. Yep, just a straight clamp. We want to also make sure, aha, this is also supposed to be affecting the alpha channels as well. If I'm not mistaken, just double checking this. Yes. Make sure that on merge for you check the input to be to have an alpha channel. It shouldn't matter too much because we want to. All right, here we want to put a clamp in below this CLAMP. Put a clamp there. That should get everything, and it's still looking wrong to me. What is this doing? What is this doing? Why are we getting something very, very different? Alright. I'm just verifying my colors here. This is looking very different color-wise. What am I getting? I want to just double check my colors too. That's 1.68. No, those are the same colors. Alright. Then this here. And this here. Yeah, that's the same. Hold on. I just want to make sure it's 2. Oh, wait a minute. This should be 2. Not 28. We're going to set this to 2 set for saturation. Tube width. I want to set this to 14. Sorry, we're going up to the... We're going to build it the way it's supposed to be. Or it was built in the demo project, which was at a level of 14. Which should here... There we go. Now that's looking more like what I was getting over here. Yes. Alright, so there we go. We're getting something that looks more like our neon tube. Then we get it go down here. And it looks really dark down here. Why does it look dark? That should be multiply. Alright, multiply. That's saying, according to this, then why did I even have that there? Hold on. I've got things in here that are just baffling me. I was experimenting so much. According to this, I have this zeroed out, which means it doesn't need to be there. But that doesn't make... Hold on 1 second. Merge 5, no. Merge 5 should be... Hold on. This merge 3 should be 1. This merge 5, according to this, and this particular one... I'm doing something wrong. I'm feeling that is correct. No, that's right. Soft light, yes. All right. Clamp set to there. Oh, don't apologize. I'm making some weirdness here. So this multiplier, according to this, is not even affecting this particular one. I think this did an additional effect. This is looking much, much darker than I had in my original, which is making me wonder what is going on here. Something is getting applied differently somewhere along the lines, but we're going with it. We're going to just keep going till I get to the end and see if this does not look like my result. I will scrap this and we will do this again on Wednesday. I'll promise you. I will not let this fly. I apologize. This is so gobbledygook. I don't know. This could be one of those weird Natron-y things because I'm getting a very, very... Let me just verify this. See, that's looking very different at this stage. We're definitely getting something very different than what we should be getting, and I'm not positive why yet. That's the view. I'm mad now. Mad. Mud powder, dude. What is going on? I've got a solid. It's the right color. My tube width is 14 on both. Neither are affecting alpha. We go down to our road smooth. It's negative 14 exponent 1. Alpha. I really dislike when stuff does not come out the way I'm expecting and this stuff sloppy work on my behalf. This grade does not do, according to this, anything other than clamps the black, I really don't know why I even have this grade node in here anymore. Made sense at the time. Boy, alright, this is going, that's right, this is good, this is good. We're getting something very, very, very different. This should go down here. Let me make sure, alright, we're going there. That gets that, looks the same there. Clamp node. clamp node. Everything looks good. I'm betting. I think I see where the problem lies. I found the problem. It's this equalize. Let's see, did anybody pick it up? As soon as I double clicked it, I was like, aha! It's our alpha. We don't have an alpha. There we go. That should be what it looks like, I think. Let me make sure. No, that's not what I got. Hold on. I'm getting something very, very... Oh! That's another thing. I didn't actually set this up correctly. The minimum value of this. There we go. See, this is what happens when you're rushing through. This was an important node. This brightens everything up by putting on the... But as you can see, as soon as we put on the alpha, our black suddenly goes to this very bright white. And the way we fix that is we put this to 0.1. There we go. That's what we should have had. So let's say before and after. So before, after. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually just, it's a very subtle thing. So before, after, before, after. That's actually going to be affecting things later. It's going to really affect our alpha channel. But anyway, it should, when we get over here, if everything new. Oh, and there's one other thing we want to turn off. We want to multiplier. There we go. Bum, bum, bum. I was like, we're not getting the neon tubies. There's what it was. There's our neon tubes. That's what was missing. Whew. I was beginning to worry about myself. Always, when I'll put something in, I usually have, and keep it in, it's usually for good reason, and that was it. We need to make sure we uncheck this on pre-multiply because we want to keep we don't want the alpha channel to get multiplied against it. We want to keep it so that it creates the tubey look. This is what creates the actual tubes, the tube glow. But in order to keep it even, we had to do some stuff. And the shuffle node, the big problem that I ran into here is that it looked really bad here. And when this alpha channel gets merged into the thing, this is why this shuffle node exists. Well, this alpha node does not look like the RGB nodes, and I want the RGB nodes to be the alpha. So that's what this shuffle node is for. And as we can see now, our alpha looks the same. And then when we go up here, we get it multiplied in. And when we make sure we're not on the alpha, there we go. Now we're getting what I was expecting. That looks like neon. There's our neon that we was looking for. And I'm like, there was something going on that was wrong. And the problem is that this neon here, all right, this is a two-piece neon thing. All right, neon, we have these highlights. I want these highlights in it, but I also want to capture this sort of, we want to pull it back to this. So what we're doing is we're taking this highlights, we're clamping it down, and then we merge the other over on top of it, and it should multiply. And let's just so we can see that, well, on this one, it's not doing very much. Actually, it's not doing anything at all. All right. So the whole goal behind this, you can see. The whole goal behind this is a thing that we can increase. Right. This is used quite a bit, but it doesn't get used, I don't think, in this one. Or maybe it did. Actually, I think this was set to 0.5 originally when I did this, or something like this. What we can see is as we bring this up, what this does is this basically, between 0 and 1, you can see that it makes the edges, I don't know if you can see it, the edges turn more orange. And it adds this extra depth to the edges of it. Let's see. As I bring this down, you can see it's going more to the original color. But then when we push this back up and mix the two, it makes it more orange in the edge, which I found on a lot of situations made the neon pop a bit more and look more neon-y. That's the reason that this multiply control, it's meant to be, this one right here, this is meant to be adjustable. But for this particular effect, apparently I used, let's put that back, get it to redraw. For this particular effect, Sorry about that. This has been taking so long. All right, so let's pop it back into the actual gamma. And as soon as we go into the gamma, everything goes wonky and weird. All right, and so we can... Oh, this is a redraw bug. Oh, that just irritates me. Don't do that. Redraw that properly, Natron. There we go. All right, so we can see when we put it in here, we can see that this is now... we wind up with something that is very... sort of yellow orangey, and it doesn't look, this may not look as neon-y. It actually looks more neon-y in some ways, but this is supposed to be a neon orange, and this is the color of neon orange, and this is actually what the neon's going to look like after it passes through the gamma node. The gamma node, as you can see, pulls it in and turns it into this it sort of makes it into the actual thin tubes that we wind up with at the end. All right, so now this is where things get a little not complicated, but we need to talk about some things, because if we were to overlay this, let's just look at what happens. I think I overlaid this. I just want to find a spot where I overlay it. Right there. All right, so let's put a merge node below the gamma. Let me just see something here. All right. We're actually going to put two things in here. We're going to put from this gamma node, underneath it, we're going to put a shuffle node. Which it did not read my tab. Come on, there we go. Shuffle. There we go. Shuffle node. All right, for this shuffle node, I believe, yes, we want to take the A input. Oh, yes. What we're going to be doing, all right, we're going to be adding, we're going to be merging something back in here. We need to put out to the side, we need to put a multiply. So let's look at this. Here's our alpha currently, all right? Let me actually... You know what? I'm going to pull this off. We are going to merge it. We'll just disable it. Or disable. Put a merge node here. But instead of merging it, we're going to merge it over that. Alright, so that's our brick. Or should be our brick. Let's go A. Get it back. There's our brick. Our brick is not looking overly bright at the moment. We'll work on that a little bit. If we put this on top of it, it looks weird. If we look at it, we can see right up here, when we look at it, we see through these neon tubes when it starts getting dark in this area. And we don't want that. That's because our alpha channel, if we look at our alpha channel for back up here at the gamma, and we look at it, it's actually transparent in the same way, much in the same way that the tubing is actually transparent. Actually, it should be. Let me double check, because I think I'd also... Yep, we want the gamma is also supposed to be applying to the alpha channel. There we go. Now I was looking at it going, that doesn't look quite right. There we go. That's better. You can see, just so you guys understand what I just did, I enabled the gamma, or the alpha channel on the gamma. We got to keep enabling this because we're dealing with solid that doesn't... Wish we could just tell it to keep it. But anyway... We need to make sure the gamma gets that alpha channel in there so that we can see it. But we can still see through this, all right? So, all right, let's go back to the gamma node. Go into the alpha, look at it, and we can see it's dark here. And where it's dark, that means it's transparent. So we're looking through it. And where it's light, we don't see through it. Well, we want to keep this kind of 2B shape. The original 2B shape, if we go off of this, we want to keep this 2B shape outside, and we want to keep the 2B shape on the inside as well, but we want to make it so that in these areas, instead of turning into transparent, like seeing through this, we want it to look like it's just the tube is turned off. So we want to increase that alpha channel, all right? And the way we're going to do this is we're going to put a multiply in here. So I'm going to just put a dot over here, and then hit tab, and then put multiply, like so. And we can actually get rid of that dot node because we don't need it. We're going to put this multiply here. And this multiply, what we're going to do is make it I think it actually made it so that it's a multiple of a tube width. All right. Initially, what I did is I did it to 10, but I wanted it to dynamically change because the bigger it is, I felt the more we wanted that to define, because the softer the edge gets. So we need to actually make this bigger. So let me get the expression for us. And so what we did is we took the tube width. All right, here's our tube width up here. This is our multiply. We're going to be applying this to the multiply. We're going to say here, we're going to make sure that the multiply is affecting the alpha channel. And I think we're going to probably just, well, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter where we apply it to. So we're going to go to edit the set expression. We're going to take the tube width and we're going to drag that, control drag the 14 into here to get that. And we're going to take that and we're going to multiply that times 1.25. All right, that's I wanted to get relatively a lot thicker, a lot bigger based off of that. And we can see here now when we look at the multiply over here, that's made this look a lot more intense. In fact, honestly, that's very it looks in a lot of ways a lot like neon in this particular thing. Who knows? Somebody could play with that. But for our effect, we're not going to be following that. That creates a very hot center. We're mainly interested in this alpha channel being brighter or thicker looking. All right. And so that's our alpha channel. All right. So then what we're going to do is, let me close that. We're going to clamp this, of course, because we've multiplied this and we don't want this. Remember, this is an alpha channel. If we multiply the alpha channel's 10 times stronger than it was. So if it was 1 at the start, it's going to be 10. So we need to clamp it so it's back to 1. All right, so we're going to just put tab. We're going to hit clamp to clamp that. Then we're going to feed that into A on the shuffle node. All right, so this is just one gigantic loop. All right, and what that's going to do is it's going to apply that. All right, so let's see what that's going to do here. We have the shuffle node disabled. So right now we're looking at it before, and we can see through this. And when we enable the shuffle node, hopefully in a second or two. Oh, we didn't set it so that it's the alpha from A, the A input alpha. There we go. We set it to A input alpha, and that's still not looking quite what I expected. Still looking more transparent than I thought it did. Hold on, everybody. Give me a moment, and I will look in. Oh, yes. We're not done. There's more that we're going to be layering in here in a minute. All right. This gives us a foundation. We're just looking at this, the merge node here. We're merging in the background a little bit without some extra stuff. I wanted to add a few extra controls in here. All right. Let's move our viewer down and move this stuff. Oops, this whole group over here down here a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough. So let's see. I added a thing between the shuffle node. All right. All right. So we're going to focus on the glow. The glow is going to be made up of a two-part thing. We're going to have a glow applied to it, to the overall thing, or to this and pulled back in. And we're also going to be applying a bit of an extra glow that's going to be made out of a blur to the background. And that is actually because we're using this, the original image as our source. The way we're going to do it is we're back here before it gets merged. We're going to hit, just so people know, I'm on the shuffle node right now. We're going to hit a period after it, which puts in this dot over here. All right, between the shuffle node. So we're still dealing with it. Let's zoom this out to fit it. We're dealing with it at this state. We're going to take this and we're going to blur that. So we're gonna put a dot node over here, or actually I'm gonna just double click over here, and so right where I am, I'm gonna just hit tab, put in blur. I really wish I hadn't missed that equalize. It's driving me batty. I don't like it when I make mistakes like that. All right, or miss very important steps like that. All right. So this blur node, we want this blur node to be tied to, again, the tube size, because the bigger the tubes, or the wider the tubes, the wider this glow needs to be, because it's a relative thing. That being said, we're not always going to use this particular blur node. So let's see. We're going to first, let me get the blur. I think I built the blur off of two aspects. Let me... Yes, this is tied to two things. Edit arcs. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go to this blur size, all right? And for now, I'm going to turn off the... I just want to make sure this blur is visible, because the two things that this is going to be based off of are, I believe, the saturation and the tube width. Remember, I said these are the two controls. The saturation controls the intensity or the voltage, if we think of it that way, of the tubes, and the tube width determines the thickness of the tubes. And those are the two factors that are going to determine, you know, how bright this is. Because we want it to be... All right, well, let's look at the expression itself. So here we're going to say the size. We're going to right click and we're going to set an expression for the blur one node's size, and then what we're going to do is take the tube width. We're going to double click the tube width. We're going to drag the tube width down here and put that first, tube width dimension. Then we're going to multiply the tube width dimension times, okay, pull up the saturation, grab the saturation, which is the voltage, as we said, and you can see it's put it on the second line. We want to actually bring this back to the first line. There we go. We want to take the two, multiply them times one another. And now we want to make them bigger by an amount. And the amount that I came up with... Actually, I want to only multiply the saturation by this number, not both of them. So we're going to take the saturation and put it in parentheses. And then we're going to multiply the saturation times 6.666, all right? And that's going to make it 6.666 times what it originally was, giving us this big blurry shape behind it. That will grow. Let's take a look at what that does when we increase and decrease our value. So when we bring our value down, we can see that the tube width value, as we shrink it, it makes it thinner. When we bring it back up to 14, which is where it was, it makes it larger. When we take the saturation down, we can see that it brings it down in a almost like a dulling. It's making it less powerful. So it doesn't seem, you can see that there's our tubes. So this is going to be behind our actual tubes. And is based off of this information. So the brighter or the bigger our tubes, and the brighter the tubes have to be, the more blown out or the brighter this is going to be, which is going to again add to it. And so the whole thing should overlay and blend in a little bit more. So okay, so that gets our blur. Now we need to merge this in over a wall, because this is going to be, again, applying to the background behind before it gets merged, before the tubes get merged over it. So what we're going to do here, and by the way, this wall, for what it's worth, it doesn't matter what we put back here. In this case, this just happens to be the wall. If anything we merge in here will be our background. That's what this is all going to get merged over. And we're going to have... So you can put anything. In this case, it happens to be a wall. But we could put in, you know, colored bars or you know, I don't know, whatever. A sign with some wood. A bar. You can do whatever. Your name, your face, my face. All right. let me get back to this. All right, so we want to put a multiplier node in here. We're going to add a multiplier over here. We're going to put tab, not blur. We want to tab multiply. We want to use the blur as our source. I want to just make sure because I see that the multiplier has something. So we're going to edit. Let me get that. All right. So this multiply node is going to, excuse me, I had a bit of an itch. This multiply node is going to be driven by the saturation. It's going to be actually just be the saturation. So we pull up the saturation, we right click on the value for the multiply to, which is this multiply right here, and that's being fed the blur, just so everybody's aware. I'm going to go to set expression all dimensions and just control drag the saturation in here and put that there. That puts a 2. All right, so let's look at what that did. So before, after, we can see it just doubles it. It multiplies it by 2, so it's twice as bright. All right, or twice as bright as our saturation. All right, and there's a reason for that, because on certain things, darker substances where we want to apply this, that's going to be a useful thing. All right, so that's what that's going to be doing. Then we're going to be screening this over the other. So we're going to take a wall. We're going to put a merge node under this. We're going to merge that on top of it like so. But instead of over, we're going to change it from over to screen. And it doesn't look like it changed much, but what this has done, screening it is going to apply this like light, if that makes sense. And it only screen, one of the other beauties of screen is that it always stays, as far as I know, within a value range of 0 to 1 versus plus, which will push it beyond 1. We want to keep it, don't want to have to clamp this. So screen is a better option here. All right, so what did that do? So we've added that, and that is going to be behind our neon. But as we can see, now this looks really, really, really bright. And I believe in the original one, what I did is I took, for the screen, what I did is I set that to, this is an adjustable extra attribute. This is to add extra glow if you need it. So this is something that it works from 0 to 1. So if you don't need it, if the glow alone that we're going to be adding gives enough, you would leave this at 0. If we want to add a bit extra glow, we would up this. And in this case, according to my preview plan, my old one, I had this set to 0.5 for this screen. All right, that's this screen over here, merge 7, where it's coming in. That's this one right here as it's applied to the wall, not this node here. This node is a 1. All right, now off to the side over here. Let's go over here, back to our original. What we want to do over here is we're going to multiply this by 2. Why am I not seeing what I want to see? There we go. We're going to go over this direction, and we're going to hit tab. We're going to go mult. By the way, I just wanted to make sure my audio is good. Actually, my audio is looking really a little bit on the hot side. I'm sorry to everybody if I'm blowing out a bit, but it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now. Right, I'm going to put a multiply in. We're going to take this multiplier. All this multiplier is going to be, we're going to set it to 2. The reason we're setting it to 2 is I want to make sure that when we glow this, that we're going to be glowing it. Oh, and actually, we're not glowing at this point. We are going to take the results of this merge and be taking this and putting it on this multiplier, and we're going to put it on top using a high pot. So we're going to go merge, and we're going to put this glow on top of it, and you can see this just basically this is multiplying the whole thing. Oh, let's make sure. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, I didn't do it there. I wonder what that will do. I'm tempted to just... No, don't do that. It makes it look like junk. So this, you can see what that did Don't enable the alpha on that particular multiplier. That multiplier basically takes it and intensifies the entire thing, the tubes. All right, so we go back one. Hold on, it's taking a minute to catch up. I zoomed in a little. So this is before, and then whoops, wrong key, one, and this should be after. And you can see it made them a bit more bright, so they look a lot more like neon. There we go. We've brightened it up. It's all about getting this to look like neon. All right, so now comes the interesting bit where we add in the glow, and we want to be able to control this glow. If I'm not mistaken, we're almost to the end. Almost there. Let me just look at this. Make sure I got focus. Oh my goodness, hold on everybody. Sorry, I want to go back here. I want to go down here to my glow. All right. So we're gonna add in a glow. There's our glow. And for our glow, what we want to do, so the way glow works, I don't know if I've explained this before, is that things that get above what is called the highlight threshold glow. And we're going to set this highlight threshold very low. We're going to, in fact, set it to 0. All right. So by setting the highlight threshold to 0, we basically tell it that we want everything to glow, including the things on our background, because we want the glow to interact with our background. This is our post-composite. This is light interacting with the background. So it should interact with it, unless, you know, it's space. Then you don't want space glowing, or don't think. And anyway, you might want space glowing. Anyway, what we're going to do is bring down this ratio a bit. We're going to bring this down to 0.8 or 1.8. Whoops, 1.8. And that is actually, it may not be obvious right away, but it actually brightens them up a wee bit more. It makes these a little more intense, the glow around them, just a smidge more intense than it was. And we also want to take the gamma curve up to 1.2. There we go. So let's look at what it was before. This is before the glow, and this is after the glow. There we go. And you can see, let's look at it without the the extra glow on the background. If we disable that, there we go. That's without that background glow. And you can see just how much that extra glow in the background really does just bring that out and make it look like it's interacting with those bricks with that background. But as I say, we want the ability to control that by ourselves. So there we go. Now we have basically this. However, what if we don't want if we find that the glow from this glow node is too strong and we want to dial it back a bit? I believe that everything should be controllable. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually add the ability to bypass this by taking this, and we're going to over here we're going to actually just put, if you double click right above around this one, we're going to hit M for merge. We're going to take the B input of this merge node, put it into the original source, take the A input, put it into the glow. All right, and by default that means that our glow is glowing on it. All right, and I also want to make sure that it's over. There we go. And so now that should be the final thing. And if everything worked right, this should be our neon. And I want to make sure. Oh, and oh yes, I think I put a clamp at the end. You know what? We're not going to put a clamp on the end because I did not clamp my original when I did all my demos. But and it didn't seem to affect it too much. Nope, we're going to clamp it. Sorry. That is bad right there. Bad on my behalf. We do want to oh, Bill. Oh, yeah. Oh, what are you doing? All right, we're going to clamp it. Clamp. And actually, we want to, just to be on the safe side, I actually did that with screen. I took this with originally with screen grabs. We want to not only actually, do we want to? Yeah, we're going to clamp it, but we're also going to put a shuffle node at the end here. And we're going to, just because we're done, we did our comp back here at this multiply node. This is right here. This is where we're putting in. Let me make sure of something. Actually, it's the screen is where we put it in. If we, for example, let me put, let's just, for the sake of argument, just to show, if we said color bars, just to show that this can work on color bars. If we put color bars in there, it works on the color bars as well. It looks horrible here because it's glowing the color bars, and this is one of those situations where you wouldn't probably want it to glow the color bars as well. So I would probably drop this, maybe bring this down, oops, no, this down here and down to 0, and we're not actually seeing that screen because it's just too bright. This is a situation where you might, I don't know that what you would do, oh, I don't think this is the proper thing. The big thing, there's a couple of reasons that I did a lot of the logic that I used in here, and I'll try and explain some of it. And we're getting neon, but it doesn't look so good on that color bars because it's just too bright a background. Neon really works well when it's on dark things like nothing, or in our case, a nice brick wall where people are used to seeing neon. All right, so we have this dark wall. Anyway, so there we go. This is this. But I wanted to just show why we did this and show how this works. All right, because this in this current state we've got it, but I haven't shown why we did some of the stuff we did. All right, so again, the two main controls, I wanted this to be controlled with as few controls as possible. So we want a tube width, we want tube width up, we want saturation up, and I'm actually going to add a third node, or a third potential in here, and hopefully my face, it's probably we're going to just shrink these down so that it's just the bits that we need. The third one was, I believe, this multiply. I just want to make sure of something. Yes, that multiply can be used to, if you want to make the edges right. If you want to make the edges look, change the edge. This allows you to change the edge color. I don't know if you can see it. This makes it look more like a pinkish orange. And this is more of a pure orange, and pure neon orange. Anyway, that's what this particular merge node down here does. I think it's actually, this is the one right here. This is what we want. Oh, I lost my original control. So this screen node we want here for our brightness. All right. We want our tube width, and we want, oh yes, we also want to, all right, we're going to float our color. So I'm going to click on this, which is going to float our color over here. Boy, this is going to be chaotic. All right, so we're going to float our color. We're going to have the screen node. No, we're going to have our, there we go, screen. We're going to have the saturation, and we're going to have our tube width. There we go. There we go. The 4 bits. I know it sounds like a lot, but the logic will make sense very shortly. So tube width, let's take this down. All right, we bring it down to, say, 8. All right, and we can see that it's changed the intensity of it. We've made it brighter. We wind up with this brighter this brighter thing, but it still reads in its current state as neon. It's a different type of neon. What it's done is it's basically applied the same amount of saturated voltage to it. So in order to, what we would want to do to bring this down, we would want to drop the voltage down a bit to get it closer to what it should look like at that lower voltage. And what this allows us to do is come up with these really interesting, looks. And here's where I started running into the thing, and this is where this extra multiplier over here might look good. So this looks more yellow when we have it at a saturation of 1, and we can see we almost lost our background yellow. So we can bring this up and make that brighter, so that there we go. I don't know if you can see. Let me bring that down. It only goes to 1. But if we take that screen, let's just disable it for a moment so we can see the difference. That's before and after. You can see that just adds to, by adjusting that screen, we can add to that glow. If we go over here to this control, now admittedly, again, the goal behind this ultimately is also intended so that this will eventually be turned into a plugin. I want to make this into a plugin that people can put onto anything, and we'll probably do that in another episode. I know we've made a plugin before, but hey, it's good refresher to sort of merge it. We made the other one, made the cloud node. All right, so let's go back over here. This particular one, shrink this down. This is our multiplier. So what does this multiplier do here? This is a situation where we might want to blend in that background edge, see? And we can get that kind of oranginess back into those tubes, even though it's thinner, by using this multiply, so we can control it. That's why I had that one in there, was so that we could still get sort of that same kind of neon orangey flavor if we wanted it. And beyond which, and the cool part about this is, if we want to change the color, oh yes, I already had this up. Oops, we just pull this, and as I say, we can rotate this. So let's take this to like a really, we're just going to pull it over into like this bluish. Well, let's try purpley pink right here. Let's look at that. This may not be the best thing in the world. I'm going to bring our tube width up from 8 to 14, and there we go. Oh, that brought it down and made it look really kind of interesting there. All right, so bring this down. I don't know that we really need the additional stuff on it. We need to obviously bring up our saturation because it's a bigger width. Whoa, too much, too much, too much. It takes a minute to update. Way too much. Overblown. That's a neon sign from I don't know, from the nether regions. Oh, I don't know. And, right. We're going to bring this down even more. Wow, that's really hot. Alright. This didn't need as much as I thought it did. That looks pretty good. Right about. That looks pretty good right there. We get something that looks very neonish. And so, and again, also, as far as text goes, as far as a font, well, we use this font. Let's try a different font. Let's just pick a random font. Let's pick a script. Because I did a script on new, where is it? A Ciego script, which I don't know if everybody saw that. I just picked a font. It's a bit big and it's also all uppercase, but we can see that it sort of worked over there. We probably want to change the thing. Let's go to Arial. We can see this is working fairly consistently across almost all fonts. And when I say almost all fonts, let's look at one that isn't going to work so well. Impact is not a very good font for this because it's so thick and bold. It works best with thin fonts, things that are not too bold. If you get too big, the problem is that the tubes, the inner tubes start. Inner tubes. Ha ha ha. All right, we're gonna go sliding down a snowbank with our neon lights. Anyway, our tubes. Holy smokes! I think it's been about an hour and a half. Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. This has gone on for way too long. We're almost an hour and a half. I just wanted to go through this to show you guys. I will be saving this and uploading this to the main thing. I will document it all and make sure that there is a link for you guys to download eventually after it gets all documented and so forth. And not in right away. We are gonna come back to this in not so distant future, because I want to also point out, just as a last second thing, there's something came up over this past week. Anybody who's in Facebook knows about what I'm talking about. We've gained the ability to, thanks to a fellow from Australia named Chris. I don't have his name. I don't want to butcher his name wrong, and I'm terrible with names. But Chris from Australia is going to be on with me next week, and we're going to be talking about something he made, because it's just too cool. He basically, well, all right, we don't. I'll let you know. We're going to be talking about and investigating temporal denoising. And people know one of my favorite things is denoising, even though I haven't done it yet on here. I haven't really gotten into talking about denoising because it's a complex topic. And anyway, I just want to let you guys know that's going to be next week's. So, right. So let's go back to me, and we're going to say, yeah, the goal. Oh, yes, I should say before then, we're going to say the goal, of course, was to make this, and I do believe we made it, even though we made something, you know, we made these two. We could easily make either of these. So we made that. We could probably do the Christmas lights behind me. But anyway, thanks for watching, and keep on Natroning.